For the first few lessons of this property editor tutorial series, we're going to build and refine our own login sign-up form for a mobile app. In subsequent lessons, we may cover some more advanced topics, or maybe even questions you come up with in the comments, so let us know what you want to learn how to do with the new property editor. For now, I used Bubble AI to generate this cool niche social media app to start. For the purposes of this tutorial, you could generate an app yourself, doesn't matter what kind, or you could start from a blank app. We will be building for mobile, but most concepts we cover work for web too. We'll spend a little time getting the form to look right, and we'll also build some functionality as we go. But as a reminder, this isn't a design tutorial, nor is it a full mobile app building tutorial. It's a property editor tutorial. Let's get started with the basics. AI may have already generated a sign-up view. You can take a peek at that if you want, but for our purposes, let's go ahead and start from scratch. So we're going to create a new mobile view. Let's call it signup-login, and we'll set it to not scrollable. Hit create. And here's our canvas. The canvas itself has some property editor features that you can explore in your own time. We will get immediately started with dropping in elements, each of which will also have their own property editor settings. So for this form, let's keep it simple. We'll need a heading, 2 input fields for an email and password, and then a button to sign us up. Let's start by dropping in a text element. So I'll literally just drag and drop it right there. And as soon as I drop in that new element, you'll notice the property editor is opened up on the right with that element's properties. I'll go ahead and set the text to just say sign up. And one thing I just want to call out, you'll notice that the name of the text element over here in the elements tree has automatically been renamed to text sign up. If you ever need to reorganize or even rename an element, you can click right there in the elements tree. And I'm going to instead just say text header, just for my own visibility. That's especially valuable as we go deeper into the property editor whenever we need to reference elements that we've dropped, making sure that you have a clear nomenclature for yourself and possibly for any collaborators you're working with is super valuable. Okay, let's scroll down to input forms and let's drop in our first input element. Already we can see that the input element has a few different settings than the text element. For example, placeholder is what kind of text will a user see before anything has been typed into the input form. So here we can just say email, and I'll go down here and I'll actually make sure to set the format from text to email specifically. That's so that it is clear to Bubble that that is the kind of text we want inputted here. It needs to be a valid email format. We just need another input for the password. I could drag it in, or I'll just click this and copy, paste. And on this next one, let's say password for the placeholder, and we'll set the format to be password as well. Last, let's add a button, and we will set the label on this button to be sign up. And now we have all of the core elements that we need for this sign-up view. Let's spend a little bit of time making the design look a little bit nicer. We could use the AI agent to help us polish this up a little bit. For the purposes of this tutorial, let's do it manually, just so that we can get a better understanding of all of the different settings that the property editor offers us. So first, I'll start by clicking the header text. And in the property editor here under the visual tab, we can scroll down a little bit and we can start to adjust the text's size, font, and color. First, I'll choose a different font. I'll set the weight to be a little bit more bold, and I will make this, let's say 24 pixels to start. Choose whatever feels right to you. Let's also set the color to be this nice bubble blue. And already I can tell that I'm just going to jump down to the button and do the same thing with that as well. Last, let's go ahead and center the header. You can see this layout section is showing us how this element is oriented based on the view, which if I click on that real quick, is set to a column. So let's center it within that column. Next, I can see here that all of these elements are kind of squished together at the top of the page, we'll just make a few small changes to give us a general idea of what the property editor is capable of doing. First, the inputs. Let's set them to be a fixed width, and we'll make them 260. Set that one to be 260 as well. Next, if I scroll down to the Appearance tab down here, we can see that we have an option to add a little bit more of a rounded radius for the corners. So I'll set that to 20, so we get that nice pill feel. And I'll do the same here as well. If we hold Shift and click to select both inputs at the same time, I'll scroll back up and I can now set them both to be centered at the same time. Last, let's make our button feel a little bit better as well. I will set the minimum height to be a little bit bigger. So let's try 55. Let's scroll down and match that corner radius that we got, 20. And you know what? Let's also match the width. So what was it? 260? And then we'll center it. And this is already looking a little bit better. Let's do one more thing to just tighten this all up. I am going to select the full view, which we saw earlier. And again, even the full container has its own property editor settings. We noticed at the start that it's set to a column. Let's keep that, but we'll see this container alignment underneath. This is how all of the elements within that container are aligned. So let's make them center aligned, which will put them right in the middle of the screen. And for our final trick, let's go ahead and solve that tight stacking issue that we noticed earlier. The easiest way to do that is to adjust gap spacing. So over here, we'll see this gap option under the spacing section. Because it's a column, we have the option to add row gap, which will uniformly set a row of spacing between all of our elements. Let's highlight that and let's say 16 to start. 16 feels pretty clean to me. Maybe I can go back here and change that up to 36 so that it fills the page just a little bit better. But honestly, feel free to play around with the design settings however much you wish. That is the absolute basics of designing with the property editor. You could go far deeper and that would be its own course. For now, let's lock it there. Next, we'll take a look at how we can use the property editor to set how different elements in our view behave depending on different conditions.